into a huge fire-breathing dragon. Or a small air-breathing bunny.
Darkwing Duck animated series, 1991 to 1992. Hey, remember those early 90s Saturday mornings? They were all about cartoons that had the perfect blend of action, comedy, and just a hint of mystery, right? But how many of you do actually remember the classic Duck hero? Well, if you were lucky enough to catch Darkwing Duck during its original run from 1991 to 1992, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This fun superhero parody flipped the classic duck and mouse formula, mixing laugh-out-loud moments with real heroism. Canonically, the lively world of St. Canard is waiting for you to explore it even today, after several major reboots. So, whether you were cheering for the clumsy yet courageous Darkwing or just having a blast with the quirky characters, it is time to jump back into the alleys of St. Canard. If you appreciate our effort in bringing you this cartoon goodness, do subscribe to our channel for of the same and hit the like button. Episode 1. Darkly Dawns the Duck, Part 1. Darkwing Duck is a little-known crime fighter desperate for his big break and the spotlight that comes with it. But when he starts chasing down the notorious Taurus Bulba's latest plot, he finds himself in deeper danger than expected. Even from behind bars, Bulba is orchestrating a plan centered around a powerful invention, the late Professor Waddlemeyer's Ramrod. The only thing missing is the arming code. When Darkwing learns that the Professor's only living relative, a spirited orphan named Gosselin, is the key to the puzzle, he intervenes just in time to stop a kidnapping and uncovers more than he bargained for. Episode 2. Darkly Dawns the Duck, Part 2. Darkwing Duck protects young orphan Gosselin from the ruthless Taurus Bulba, who believes she holds the key to activating the deadly invention known as the Ramrod. As they grow closer, Darkwing realizes the arming code is hidden in a lullaby Gosselin remembers from her childhood. But Bulba outsmarts him, framing Darkwing and kidnapping Gosselin. With help from Launchpad and the Thunderquack jet, Darkwing escapes jail and storms Bulba's airship. Forced to activate the Ramrod to save Gosselin, he watches as Bulba uses it to rob the Federal Gold Depository, until Darkwing sabotages the device, rescues Gosselin, and finally claims his place as a true hero. Episode 3. Beauty and the Beat. Dr. Reginald Bushroot, once a gentle botanist at St. Canard University, becomes the target of relentless mockery from his peers. Shunned and ousted for rejecting profit-driven science, he turns to a desperate self-experiment that fuses his DNA with plant matter, transforming him into a half-duck, half-plant hybrid with control over vegetation. Empowered and embittered, Bushroot unleashes his wrath on those who humiliated him. Darkwing Duck steps in, battling a wave of sentient vines and monstrous flora. Their clash ends with Bushroot retreating into the shadows, his obsession with botany intact. Darkwing leaves, troubled by the rise of this twisted botanical menace. Episode 4. Getting Antsy. After a long night of crime fighting, Darkwing Duck begrudgingly joins Launchpad, Gosselin, and Honker for a round of miniature golf at Goonie Golf. The outing takes a strange turn when landmarks and even Hamburger Hippo start vanishing. The culprit is Lilliput, a villain wielding a shrink ray and controlling ants through a specialized helmet, using them to steal buildings for his personal golf course. When Darkwing investigates, he's zapped down to an ant-sized version of himself. Now stranded in a miniature world, he must dodge hostile insects and towering obstacles to stop Lilliput's bizarre scheme, restore the city's landmarks, and return himself to full size. Episode 5. Night of the Living Spud. Dr. Bushroot sets out to grow the perfect companion, but a mix-up by his pet Spike leads to the creation of Posy, a blood-sucking vampire potato. Meanwhile, the Muddlefoots take Gosselin camping, only to be spooked by strange events in the woods. When a trucker reports a giant spud on the loose, Darkwing Duck and Launchpad head to the countryside. Mistaken for the monster, Darkwing faces angry townsfolk. Posy sinks her fangs into Launchpad and the Muddlefoots, turning them into couch potato zombies. With help from Gosselin and Honker, Darkwing uncovers the truth. defeats Posey, cures the town, and drives Bushroot into retreat.
Ready, aim, fire!
Episode 6, Apes of Wrath. Shush sends Darkwing, Launchpad and Gosselin deep into the jungle to find Dr. Beatrice Brute, a famed anthropologist who has mysteriously vanished. There, they uncover Major Trenchrot's plot to build a resort for villains by driving out a tribe of peaceful gorillas. Battling through booby traps and facing off against gorilla guards Bongo and Congo, Darkwing eventually rescues Dr. Brute, who reveals she's bonded with the gorillas and chooses to stay. With quick thinking and explosive coconuts, the team defeats Trenchrot and his goons. Peace returns to the jungle as Brute remains behind with the gorilla family she now calls home. Episode 7, Dirty Money. A wave of mysterious thefts renders St. Canard's currency worthless, every bill wiped clean of ink. Shush! Director J. Gander Hooter calls in Darkwing Duck after, by the book, Agent Grizzlycoff fails to crack the case. But first, Darkwing must endure Grizzlycoff's grueling proficiency test, igniting a clash of egos. The culprit, Fowl, Agent Ammonia Pine, wielding a high-powered vacuum that erases ink and even snatches Hooter himself. Navigating Shush's endless bureaucracy, Darkwing and Launchpad pursue Pine, battling red tape and chaos. In a final messy confrontation, Pine is supped, the Inkless money destroyed, and Darkwing proves once again that instinct can outshine protocol.
Here you go, buddy.
Hurry, Darkwing!
I'm coming.
Episode 8, Duck Blind. Darkwing Duck faces off against Megavolt, who's draining power straight from St. Canard's light bulbs. But during their rooftop clash, a surge of electricity leaves Darkwing temporarily blind. Refusing to give in, he pushes forward using gadgets and sharp instincts, only to accidentally put Gosselin, Honker and Launchpad in danger. When they try to stop Megavolt themselves, they're quickly captured. Driven by guilt and determination, Darkwing navigates a darkened factory using only his hearing, rescues his friends, and, thanks to another shock, regains his sight. With his vision and confidence restored, Darkwing proves that even blindness couldn't dim his fearless fight for justice. Episode 9, Comic Book Capers. Darkwing Duck is thrilled to see a comic book inspired by his daring deeds, until he reads it. Outraged by the inaccuracies, he vows to write his own issue, but his quiet writing time is anything but peaceful. Launchpad, Gosselin, Binky, and even Binky's Cinnamon Break barge in, adding their own chaotic spins to the story. Things spiral further when Megavolt steals the script, rewrites it with his villainous flair, and zaps himself into the comic. As the lines between fiction and reality blur, Darkwing must wrest control back, reclaiming the story, defeating Megavolt, and proving he's the true author of his legacy. Episode 10, Water Way to Go. Shush sends Darkwing Duck and Launchpad to Oilrabia after a fellow agent drowns under suspicious circumstances. Eager to prove himself, Launchpad asks for a shot at being the hero, and Darkwing, though hesitant, agrees. Upon arrival, they're welcomed by the local princess, just before Steelbeak triggers a raging sandstorm with a weather machine. Separated in the chaos, the duo uncovers a hidden FOWL fleet buried beneath the dunes. Captured by Eggmen, they manage a daring escape, sabotage Steelbeak's plan to flood the kingdom, and save the day. Oilrabia celebrates their bravery, and Launchpad finally gets his well-earned moment in the spotlight. Episode 11, Paradox. While dropping Gosselin off at school, Drake Mallard makes a quick stop at a Shush lab, only to accidentally activate a time machine disguised as a golf cart. He and Gosselin are hurled back to Drake's childhood in St. Canard, where young Drakey is being bullied by a gang of greasers led by Lamont. Their presence shifts the timeline. Upon returning to the present, Lamont is now a powerful crime boss. Racing back to fix the past, Drake and Gosselin help young Drakey stand up for himself. With courage and guidance, he thwarts a heist and finds inspiration in his future self.
Let's get deep.
Episode 12, Easy come, easy grows. Darkwing Duck is on the case when entire bank vaults and all their money mysteriously disappear. At the same time, Gosselin stumbles upon a strange money tree growing in Honker's backyard. Tempted by the endless cash, the kids go on a wild shopping spree. When Drake catches wind of it, he joins in, until the truth comes out. The money is counterfeit. Framed and arrested for the fake bills, Darkwing finds himself in hot water. Now it's up to Gosselin, Honker and Launchpad to clear his name, uncover the source of the phony cash, and crack the case before things spiral further. Episode 13, A Revolution in Home Appliances. While testing his new power transfer generator, Megavolt accidentally brings a refrigerator to life. Encouraged by his success, he electrifies more household items, a TV, a hairdryer, even Honker's guitar, forming a gang of sentient appliances. Under Megavolt's lead, they hatch a plan to tap into the city's power plant and bring every device in St. Canard to life. As chaos looms, Darkwing Duck and Launchpad race to stop the uprising. With Gosselin and Honker's quick thinking and teamwork, they short-circuit the rogue appliances during a high-voltage showdown, shutting down Megavolt's scheme and returning the city to normal.
They say it's the ghost of a first ex-husband.
Episode 14, Trading Faces. A computer glitch causes chaos when Darkwing Duck and Gosselin, along with Launchpad and Honker, suddenly switch bodies. While Gosselin juggles the challenges of being a caped crusader, Darkwing, stuck in his daughter's body, struggles to infiltrate a high-security military base. Meanwhile, Steelbeak of Fowl has stolen a rocket threatening to stop Earth's rotation unless paid a massive ransom. Despite the confusion and mismatched roles, the team unites to confront him. In the heat of battle, an electrical shock reverses the body swap. With quick thinking and courage, Gosselin reactivates the rocket's engines, stopping Steelbeak and saving the planet.
Scared. But hey, they would
Episode 15, Hush Hush Sweet Charlatan. When a string of mysterious accidents disrupts a film set, Darkwing Duck steps in to investigate, sensing something more sinister at play. The director, Tuscanini, a former villain turned filmmaker, is secretly behind the chaos. His real plan? Sabotage the production to drive down the studio's value and buy it for a fraction of the price, all to tap into hidden oil reserves beneath the lot. Disguised and determined, Darkwing uncovers the plot. With Gosselin and Honker's help, the trio exposes Tuscanini and foils his scheme. The episode highlights Darkwing's sharp instincts and unwavering dedication to justice, both on and off camera. Episode 16, Can't Buy You Love. Jambalaya. Jake and his alligator sidekick, Gumbo, roll into St. Canard with plans to rob the city blind. They crash a charity event, making off with the donations, until Darkwing Duck steps in and recovers the stolen funds. Not backing down, the duo kidnaps Launchpad McQuack, using him as bait to trap Darkwing. Navigating a gauntlet of quicksand and cement snares, Darkwing pushes forward to save his friend. In a clever twist, he feeds Jake one of Launchpad's infamous brownies, prompting a wild chase as Gumbo turns on his partner. The pair is swept out of town, defeated but still vengeful. Episode 17, Bearskin Thug. Drake Mallard takes Gosselin on a camping trip, hoping to share his love for the great outdoors. But their peaceful getaway takes a turn when they discover the national park has been evacuated, thanks to a monstrous bear terrorizing campers and wildlife. What they don't know is that the bear is actually a robotic agent controlled by Steelbeak, part of a scheme to scare off the ranger and take control of the land. When Darkwing Duck steps in, with Gosselin by his side, they expose the bear's true identity. Together, they outwit Steelbeak and restore safety to the park and its visitors.
I got it, Slim! I got it!
Episode 18, You Sweat Your Life. Darkwing Duck goes undercover at a trendy health spa to investigate two suspicious employees linked to a recent museum break-in. Complicating matters, his nosy neighbours, Herb and Binky Muddlefoot, unexpectedly tag along, eager for some rest and relaxation. Meanwhile, the spa's owner, the obsessively fit Jock Newbody, has uncovered a formula for the Fountain of Youth. All he's missing is one rare ingredient, a feather from a true hero, specifically Darkwing Duck. As Drake tries to maintain his cover, he must navigate quirky spa treatments, fend off Jock's schemes, and protect his secret identity while stopping a dangerous plan from unfolding. Episode 19, Days of Blunder. Quackerjack, disguised as a psychiatrist, manipulates Darkwing Duck into questioning his worth as a superhero. Struggling with self-doubt, Darkwing decides to hang up his cape and pursue a quieter, more ordinary life. But with St. Canard's protector out of the picture, Quackerjack unleashes a chaotic crime spree across the city. As the consequences of his absence become clear, Darkwing regains his confidence and, with support from his friends, returns to face his foe. The episode marks the debut of Quackerjack, a zany yet dangerous villain who would become a recurring threat in the series. Episode 20, Just Us Justice Ducks, Part 1. Darkwing Duck faces his greatest challenge yet when Megavolt, Quackerjack, Bushroot, Liquidator, and the newly introduced Negaduck join forces as the Fearsome Five and take over St. Canard. As chaos spreads, Gizmo Duck and a group of heroes arrive to help, but Darkwing, feeling overshadowed, pushes them away. It's only when he realizes the scale of the threat that he sets aside his pride and joins forces with Morgana, Neptunia, Stegmutt, and Gizmo Duck. United as the Justice Ducks, the team takes on the villains in an epic showdown, proving that teamwork and trust are just as vital as courage and strength. Episode 21, Just Us Justice Ducks, Part 2. In the gripping finale of the two-part saga, Darkwing Duck faces the full force of the Fearsome Five's grip on St. Canard. With his allies Morgana, Stegmutt, Neptunia and Gizmo Duck captured, he's forced to stand alone against overwhelming odds. After a harsh setback, being thrown out of Negaduck's headquarters, and watching the city spiral into chaos, Darkwing refuses to give up. His unwavering determination inspires his team's rescue, and together they launch a bold, coordinated attack. In a thrilling showdown, they reclaim the city, defeating the Fearsome Five and restoring hope to St. Canard. A Ducky Phobia. When Professor Moriarty steals radioactive Canardium, a mutated spider escapes and bites Darkwing Duck, causing him to grow 4 extra arms and unleash chaotic power. With Launchpad, Gosselin, and Honker's help, he discovers that only venom from the same spider species can cure him. Embracing his new form as Arachno Duck, he battles Moriarty's giant spider and henchmen at the mall. After a wild showdown involving stolen fan blades and a massive wind machine, the spider redeems itself, helps Darkwing, and shrinks back. With the cure secured, the team returns to normal, though Darkwing stays just a bit more useful at home. Episode 24, When Aliens Collide. Gosselin, Honker and Tank stumble upon a crashed spaceship in the park, releasing a tiny purple alien named Wacko who wears a restraining collar. Thinking he's harmless, Gosselin takes him in until city-sized chaos erupts. Launchpad and Darkwing arrive just as a giant robot cop from Wacko's world demands his return. Gosselin sneaks aboard the spaceship and discovers Wacko is actually a notorious criminal behind stolen seismospheres, unstable, explosive orbs hidden among children's toys. A thrilling, high-speed chase through space follows, ending with Wacko's capture, the universe saved, and a newfound trust between Gosselin and Drake.
Darkwing? Is that you?
Well, of course it's me!
Episode 25, Jurassic Jumble. In St. Canard, 2 shady lawyers mysteriously vanish, leading Darkwing Duck to suspect criminal numero uno. His daring prison raid ends in a comical failure. Meanwhile, Honker and Gosselin follow dinosaur footprints to a museum where they meet Stegmutt, a duck transformed into a Stegosaurus, and the sinister Dr. Fossil. Using a retro-evolution gun, a super magnet, and a passing comet, Fossil plans to turn the entire city back into dinosaurs. When Darkwing is accidentally transformed into a giant dinosaur, he teams up with Stegmutt, Honker, and Gosselin to stop the comet, reverse the changes, and save St. Canard from a prehistoric disaster.
I always knew you were a big chicken, Steelbeak.
Episode 26, Cleanliness is next to Badliness. Fowl pressures Steelbeak to pull off a string of quick bank heists or face a pay cut. He recruits Ammonia Pine, whose compulsive cleanliness turns each robbery into a bizarre, soap-fueled spectacle across St. Canard. Meanwhile, Gosselin starts a Darkwing Duck fan club to make money, but things spiral when she involves the kids in real missions. During a chaotic showdown, the young fans are captured, forcing Gosselin to face the consequences of her scheme. Darkwing rescues them, just as Steelbeak turns on Ammonia, fed up with her obsession. As the day settles, Gosselin learns heroism and crime fighting is anything but tidy.
Behold, one felonious fake.
Episode 27, Smarter Than a Speeding Bullet. Darkwing Duck faces off against Steelbeak, who's behind a baffling scheme to steal rubber ducks in bulk. Just as the chaos unfolds, Comet Guy, a well-meaning but hopelessly clumsy alien superhero, crash lands on Earth, eager for mentorship. Reluctantly, Darkwing agrees to take him under his wing, but Comet Guy's overzealous attempts at heroism only complicate matters, nearly letting Steelbeak escape. Despite the setbacks, Darkwing regains control, foils the bizarre heist, and sends Steelbeak packing. In the aftermath, Comet Guy learns a tough but necessary lesson about what it truly takes to be a hero. For real, their first meeting is pure, hilarious chaos.
Keep an eye on him, boys. I'll finish the gold plating job.
Episode 28, All's Fahrenheit in Love and War. Tired of winter's endless chill, Darkwing Duck dreams of a sunny getaway, but a string of baffling bank heists keeps him grounded. Oddly, the vaults show no signs of forced entry, only melted gold. While staking out one, Darkwing encounters the mysterious Isis Vanderchill, who lives near geothermal springs, and takes a romantic interest in him. But when he and Launchpad are frozen mid-investigation, they discover Isis is behind the heists. Her plan? To coat the city in gold so sunlight will melt the frost permanently. After a narrow escape and quick thinking, Darkwing thwarts her scheme, restoring the icy status quo. Episode 29, Whiffle While You Work. While tidying up at home, Drake finds Gosselin completely absorbed in the hit video game Whiffle Boy. She enters a tournament at the mall, but chaos erupts when Quackerjack crashes the event with a giant robotic gorilla, seeking revenge on the toy industry that cast him aside. Things get worse when Darkwing Duck and Gosselin are pulled into the game itself. Trapped in a pixelated world full of hazards, robotic foes, and bizarre levels, including a showdown with a towering daddy weasel, they must work together to stop Quackerjack. With teamwork and courage, they defeat him and reclaim the trophy, strengthening their bond.
What's the matter?
Episode 30, Ghoul of My Dreams. Darkwing Duck grows bored in a crime-free city until a bizarre wave of sleepwalking burglaries sweeps through town. The twist? People are robbing their own homes while fast asleep. His investigation leads to Morgana Macawber, a mysterious sorceress using enchanted sleep sand from Dreamworld ruler Nodoff. Under its spell, citizens unknowingly steal in their sleep. Darkwing isn't immune. He falls under the sand's influence and lands in a surreal dreamscape, battling strange illusions and personal fears. With Launchpad's help, he snaps out of it, seizes Morgana's sandbag, and defeats Nodoff. The nightmares fade, and peaceful, dreamless sleep returns to St. Canard.
Now suck gas, evildoer. I think I'm onto something.
Episode 31, Adopt-A-Con. In St. Canard, Darkwing Duck is reluctantly roped into the Adopt-A-Con program and assigned to reform the theatrical yet scheming criminal Tuscanini. While pretending to go straight, Tuscanini secretly plots his escape, using elaborate disguises and digging a tunnel right under Drake Mallard's nose. As the situation spirals, Darkwing stages a fake bank heist to uncover the truth, but the plan backfires. Tuscanini takes Darkwing, Gosselin, and Launchpad hostage in a dramatic twist. With a bold rescue and clever unmasking of the villain's disguises, Darkwing exposes the ruse in court, sending Tuscanini back behind bars and ending his brief stint as a house guest.
I said attack!
Episode 32, Toys Sar Us. Quackerjack, the manic toy-themed villain grows bitter when parents reject his dangerous toys. In retaliation, he kidnaps children and takes over a toy store, turning it into a chaotic, trap-filled playland. At the same time, Gosselin's school behaviour lands her in trouble, and Principal Farnsworth urges Drake Mallard to improve his parenting, suggesting a guidebook. Determined to do better, Drake throws himself into being a more attentive dad, unintentionally neglecting his superhero duties. With Quackerjack's plans spiralling out of control, Darkwing must learn to juggle fatherhood and heroism. In the end, he rescues the children and restores order on both fronts.
And Darkwing Duck. Now that is an entrance.
Episode 33, The Secret Origins of Darkwing Duck. Set 2 centuries in the future, 2 curious children, Gosseloid and Honkolon, accidentally get locked inside a museum exhibit. They're rescued by an old janitor who bears a striking resemblance to Darkwing Duck. As he frees them, he shares the legendary hero's origin story. Darkwing, he explains, was born on the distant planet Zipton, which was tragically destroyed by his own father's mistake. His escape rocket collided with that of his cousin Negaduck, sending both to Earth. Raised in a remote monastery, Darkwing mastered Kung Fu before meeting Launchpad McQuack and Gosselin, eventually forming the heroic team that became Darkwing Duck.
Superpowered superhero!
Episode 34, Up Up Arai. Darkwing Duck and Launchpad set out to solve a string of mysterious horse disappearances at the local racetrack. Disguised, rather absurdly, as a horse, they're accidentally entered into a race. Their investigation leads them to Megavolt, who's using a giant electromagnet to steal horseshoes for a bizarre new invention. Just as things escalate, Gizmo Duck swoops in to save the day, rescuing the horses and soaking up the spotlight. Darkwing, feeling overshadowed and eager to prove himself, finds his ego bruised. Tensions rise between the two heroes as their rivalry builds, but ultimately they join forces to take down Megavolt together. Episode 35, Life, the Negiverse and Everything. Darkwing Duck accidentally stumbles into the Negiverse, a twisted parallel world where Negaduck rules with an iron fist. There, he meets the Friendly Four, heroic versions of his usual foes, the Fearsome Five. United by a common goal, they work together to restore peace and hope to the Negiverse's broken version of St. Canard. But their efforts draw Negaduck's wrath, leading to a tense showdown. After the dust settles, Darkwing finds his way back home. Though his own world may be chaotic and imperfect, he returns with a new appreciation for its everyday oddities, especially for the Muddlefoots and Gosselin. Episode 36, Dry Hard. During a scorching heatwave in St. Canard, Darkwing Duck uncovers a sinister scheme: shady water mogul. Bud Flood has been sabotaging rival companies' supplies. When Darkwing confronts him at his factory, Flood falls into a vat of tainted water and is transformed into the Liquidator, a living, fluid menace who can control water itself. With his newfound powers, he solidifies the city's water into rubbery blocks and schemes to monopolize the market. Darkwing and Launchpad fight back with a mix of clever plumbing and an oversized sponge, ultimately freezing and shattering the Liquidator to restore the city's water to normal. Episode 37, Heavy Mental. Darkwing and Launchpad are sent to Shush's hidden lab in the Swiss Alps to deliver a mysterious package. There, Dr. Sarah Bellum unveils the Norma Ray, a psychic enhancing device with one warning: don't think while using it. Launchpad volunteers, but fails every test, yet accidentally unleashes chaos, from levitating furniture to spontaneous snowfall. Meanwhile, Fowl's psychic leader, Major Synapse, steals the device and supercharges Flygirl and Hotshot. During the showdown, Synapse transforms into a giant brain. Thinking fast, Darkwing uses the Norma Ray to bombard him with rapid-fire questions, overloading his mind and triggering an explosion that ends the threat and Launchpad's powers. Episode 38, Disguise the Limit. Negaduck disguises himself as Darkwing Duck and launches a crime spree, turning public opinion sharply against the real hero. With $1 million bounty on his head, Darkwing barely escapes a furious mob and takes shelter at Shush headquarters. Hoping to help, Dr. Cerebellum uses an experimental camouflage ray, but it backfires, causing Darkwing to morph into anyone he sees. From Launchpad to a baby to Negaduck himself, the unpredictable transformations complicate everything. Still, Darkwing manages to outwit and expose the true culprit. After a chaotic showdown, Bellum restores him to normal, Negaduck is captured, and calm returns to St. Canard.
Hi! Two can play at this game, ordinary guy! Now, let's see you pick on someone your own.
Episode 39, Planet of the Capes. Comic Guy returns and whisks Darkwing Duck off to Planet Mertz, a world entirely populated by superheroes. The heroes there confess they're lost without their one non-powered citizen, Ordinary Guy, and need someone to rescue, so Darkwing volunteers. At first, being constantly saved is amusing, but it quickly becomes exhausting. Determined to fix things, Darkwing hunts down the real Ordinary Guy, only to find he's become bitter from years of helplessness and now wields a strength-draining ray gun. In a clever showdown, Darkwing outsmarts him, restores the hero's powers, and earns a new appreciation as Planet Mertz's honorary Ordinary Guy. Episode 40, Darkwing DLoon. In a daring flashback, Darkwing Duck, posing as Seaman Drake, recounts the legendary exploits of his ancestor, Darkwing DLoon, from 300 years ago. Sailing the high seas, DLoon's ship is ambushed by pirate versions of Negaduck and the Fearsome Five, who aim to steal the royal jewels. Pretending to surrender, DLoon secretly rallies his loyal crew, Gosselin, Launchpad, Gizmo Duck, and Stegmutt, for a daring counterattack. Together, they recover the treasure and rescue Gosselin, then pursue the villains to their hidden lair. Outwitting Negaduck in a showdown, DLoon restores the treasure to the crown, earning royal praise and sealing Seaman Drake's heroic legacy. Episode 41, It's a Wonderful Leaf. In the frenzy of last-minute Christmas shopping, Bushroot, fed up with being treated like last year's fruitcake, brings an army of Christmas trees to life, determined to steal presents and ruin the holiday spirit in St. Canard. At the mall, Darkwing, mistaken for Santa, finds himself mobbed by frantic shoppers before switching back to hero mode. Facing Bushroot's leafy rebellion, he cleverly uses a hydrant and a blast of freezing water to stop the chaos. With Christmas saved, Gosselin generously gives her gifts to Honka's family. Touched by her kindness, the real Santa rewards her with a magical flying sled. Episode 42, Twitching Channels. Megavolt reveals his electrolyzer, a device that transforms him into pure electricity, allowing him to travel through wires and hijack TV broadcasts to commit high-tech thefts. When Herb Muddlefoot's new universal remote becomes one of the stolen items, Darkwing springs into action, tracking Megavolt to a local TV studio. Their chaotic showdown, plungers clashing with power bolts, takes an unexpected turn when they're pulled into a television and find themselves in the human world. There, Darkwing is stunned to learn he's a cartoon character. After confronting his creator, E. Thaddeus Rockwell, he cleverly retools the electrolyzer to zap them all back home. Episode 43, Dances with Bigfoot. Gosselin is eager to prove herself, but accidentally triggers a trap and discovers Darkwing has vanished. Teaming up with Honka, she follows a trail of clues to the Pacific Northwest, even mailing themselves there to save time. They find Darkwing living in luxury, unwittingly being prepared as a sacrifice by a tribe of Bigfoot. Thinking fast, Gosselin bluffs the tribe, wins a dance-off called Dances with Bigfoot, and uses a Zeppelin's grappling hook to stage their escape. As a volcano erupts, Darkwing tap dances across a lava flow, and the trio paddles to safety, closer than ever after their wild adventure.
Turn them to malt!
Episode 44, Twin Beaks. Darkwing and Launchpad look into Bushroot's strange disappearance after he's found standing motionless in his cell. Following Launchpad's odd psychic hunches and a mysteriously talkative log, they head to the eerie town of Twin Beaks, where Honka's parents have also gone missing. There, they find giant cabbages treated like citizens, unsettling diners, and strange dreams hinting at something alien. The truth unravels, an invasion by sentient cabbage clones, with Bushroot serving, reluctantly, as their spy. A helmeted cow from Planet Larson arrives just in time, leading a strike team. In the chaos, Darkwing's team stops the invasion, though Bushroot escapes with one ominous cabbage in tow. Episode 45, The Incredible Bulk. While helping Gosselin and Honka gather plants for a science project, Darkwing crosses paths with Bushroot, who uses an experimental fertilizer to turn a daisy into a towering floral monster. The creature captures the trio, prompting Darkwing to train, under Gosselin's tough coaching, for a rematch. But the daisy overpowers him. In a risky move, Darkwing takes the fertilizer himself, gaining massive strength but becoming unstable. At a tea factory, Bushroot exploits this, trapping Darkwing and Launchpad above a boiling vat. Just in time, Gosselin and Honka arrive with an antidote, a smarter fertilizer. Supersized and strategic, Darkwing defeats the daisy with brains and brawn. Episode 46, My Valentine Ghoul. Darkwing Duck's romantic Valentine's dinner with Morgana McCorber takes a turn when he dismisses her offer to help with a diamond theft case, citing her past. Hurt by his lack of trust, Morgana ends their relationship. Sensing an opening, Negaduck poses as a reformed villain, charming Morgana into using her magic for his schemes. During a carnival date, he frames Darkwing as jealous and reckless. Hoping to fix things, Gosselin whips up a love potion, accidentally dousing Darkwing, who suddenly swoons over Negaduck. Amid the chaos, Morgana sees through the act and, with Darkwing's help, exposes Negaduck, rekindling their bond.
So it just proves I'm not an idiot. It's all over, Megavolt. You're...
Episode 47, Dead Duck. As Darkwing was pursuing Megavolt, he suffered a tragic accident and found himself in the afterlife, caught in a tug-of-war between St. Peter and the devil over his soul. Refusing to accept his fate, he returns to St. Canard as a ghost, invisible and unable to connect with those he loves. He turns to Morgana for help, but even her magic can't bring him back. Determined, Darkwing tracks Megavolt to a TV station, only to be captured once more. As death arrives, everything shifts. Darkwing realizes he's been in a coma. He awakens just in time to stop Megavolt and return to life. Episode 48, A Duck by Any Other Name. Darkwing Duck and Launchpad McQuack foil Tuscanini's attempt to steal a priceless diamond. Amid the chaos, Launchpad accidentally pulls off his Darkwing decoy mask in front of reporters, leading the public to believe he's the real Darkwing. As Launchpad basks in unexpected fame, Darkwing struggles with jealousy, but keeps quiet to protect his secret identity. Seizing the confusion, Tuscanini plots to bomb Darkwing's home, but mistakenly targets the Muddlefoots instead. He kidnaps Gosselin and Honka, thinking it will draw Darkwing out. In the end, the real Darkwing and Launchpad team up, rescue the kids, and bring Tuscanini to justice.
That flaps in the night. I am the pit bull that bites the ankle of...
Episode 49, Let's Get Respectable. When a news report exposes Darkwing Duck's unflattering public image, Gosselin and Honka step in to help him reinvent himself as a more approachable, thoughtful hero. Eager to improve his reputation, Darkwing embraces a friendlier persona, striving to be more respectful and considerate. However, his transformation is quickly complicated by Negaduck, who takes advantage of Darkwing's softer approach to cause chaos. As Darkwing wrestles with his new image and growing frustration, he eventually realizes that earning respect isn't about changing who he is, it's about doing the right thing. In the end, his actions speak louder than any rebranding effort.
Gotcha.
Episode 50, In Like Blunt. Darkwing Duck joins forces with Derek Blunt, a legendary retired spy, to recover a stolen list of Shush agents. The villain Phineas Sharp plans to auction the list to the highest bidder, putting countless lives at risk. Despite their very different styles, Darkwing's flashy gadgets versus Blunt's old-school techniques, the unlikely partners navigate traps and battle Sharp's henchmen. Together, they infiltrate Sharp's island hideout and cleverly swap the real list with a fake. In the end, Sharp is captured and the secret identities of the agents are safely protected. Episode 51, Quack of Ages. After stopping Quackerjack's explosive scheme at a yo-yo factory, Darkwing and Launchpad track him to a strange medieval hideout. Quackerjack escapes using his time top, travelling back to 1291 AD to erase the yo-yo from history. Using a Shush time machine, Darkwing and Launchpad follow him to King Herbeth's court, where Quackerjack has disguised himself as the king's advisor. Branded a warlock, Darkwing endures a disastrous magic show, jail time, and a near execution, saved only by a conveniently timed eclipse. He later rescues Princess Binkith from a dragon, unmasks Quackerjack's lies and captures him, restoring both the timeline and his bruised dignity. Episode 52, Time and Punishment. During a chaotic battle with Megavolt and Quackerjack, young Gosselin slips into their upgraded time travel device, the Time Top, accidentally sending them all into a grim future St. Canard. There, Darkwing has become Dark Warrior Duck, a cold authoritarian figure ruling with robotic enforcers and jailing citizens for minor offences. Gosselin, shocked by the change, joins forces with an older, weary Launchpad. Together with a Megavolt and Quackerjack, they stage a jailbreak and confront Dark Warrior. Gosselin's plea stirs a flicker of his old self, and he lets them return to the present. Back home, a shaken but grateful Darkwing grounds Gosselin, holding her close. Episode 53, Stressed to Kill. A strange wave of unusually calm crimes sweeps through St. Canard, prompting Darkwing Duck to investigate. He soon uncovers Quackerjack and Megavolt as the culprits, luring him into a fake stress relief clinic where they zap him with their Relaxitron ray. Now eerily mellow, Darkwing shrugs off chaos, even Gosselin's wild antics at home. But when the villains accidentally trigger a massive city fire, his indifference puts everyone at risk. Launchpad and Gosselin track him down, and a sudden flood finally jolts him back to normal. Riding the current, Darkwing extinguishes the flames and nabs the duo, who end up bickering in defeat. Episode 54, The Darkwing Squad. When Darkwing Duck earns the admiration of Shush's no-nonsense agent Grizzlikoff, Director Hooter assigns him to train an elite new team, a donkey, dog, deer, and dodo, all eager to fight crime the Darkwing way. Under his theatrical guidance, the group turns into a clumsy, self-absorbed squad. Meanwhile, Steelbeak manipulates Grizzlikoff into joining Fowl, using the bumbling team as bait in a plot to steal a giant pearl from the St. Canard Aquarium. The squad is captured, but Grizzlikoff fakes a betrayal to free them. Amid the chaos, the pearl flattens Steelbeak, and a shark hilariously ejects Darkwing. Shush later reveals it was all a setup.
Really big blowing up. There won't be.
Inside Binky's brain. After a freak bowling accident, mild-mannered Binky Muddlefoot awakens her inner hero and becomes the Canardian Guardian, a hyperactive crusader obsessed with enforcing safety across St. Canard. Her well-meaning but chaotic interventions derail Darkwing Duck's pursuit of Megavolt, who's in the middle of stealing light bulbs from a power plant. Determined to protect Binky from herself, Darkwing reluctantly trails her as she unwittingly foils both hero and villain. As Megavolt prepares to overload the grid, Binky yanks the power cord just in time, saving the city. The blackout stops Megavolt cold, and the impact knocks Binky back to her harmless, cheerful self.
Darkwing!
Slime, okay, you're okay. During a cozy game night, Gosselin feels brushed aside when Drake rushes off as Darkwing to stop Bushroot's latest lab heist. Curious and determined, she secretly follows and accidentally gets exposed to Bushroot's IQ2U serum. transforming into a growing, gooey slime creature dubbed Yucky Duck. While Darkwing races to reverse the effects, Launchpad does damage control. Surprisingly, Bushroot sees Gosselin's mutation as a chance at companionship, but Gosselin ultimately chooses her real family over his offer. After a wild showdown with animated lawns and runaway plants, a simple soap and water rinse restores her, reminding everyone that love and loyalty matter most. World history. Frustrated with her history homework, Gosselin dozes off and slips into a vivid dream where she teams up with Astroduck, her favourite TV hero. Together, they travel through time in search of the legendary Fountain of Knowledge, meeting icons like Leif Erikson, Columbus, and Marco Polo. As her dream adventure teaches her about courage, curiosity, and collaboration, trouble brews in the real world. Megavolt uses Gosselin's sleepwalking to lure Darkwing Duck into a trap. While Gosselin gains a new appreciation for history, Darkwing scrambles to outwit Megavolt and bring his daughter safely back to the waking world. Episode 59, UFO. While on a much-needed vacation, Drake Mallard and Gosselin are stunned to learn that Launchpad has been abducted by aliens. The eccentric extraterrestrial leader, Bleeb, wants to crown Launchpad as ruler of the universe. Determined to save their friend, Darkwing and Gosselin blast off on a rescue mission, navigating the bizarre world of alien politics and outlandish technology. Along the way, they uncover a surprising piece of Launchpad's past, his childhood encounter with Bleeb. This revelation adds a heartfelt layer to Launchpad's story. With quick thinking and teamwork, the duo outsmarts the aliens and brings their beloved sidekick back home.
In the night, I am the editor that leaves you on the cutting room floor.
Episode 60, A Star is Scorned. When the network demands a fresh gimmick, producer Thaddeus Rockwell announces a spin-off starring Dr. Reginald Bushroot. What Darkwing doesn't know is that Rockwell is running a scam, collaborating with Bushroot and even the unsuspecting Muddlefoots to inflate production costs and siphon off studio funds. Gradually pushed out, Darkwing finds his role shrinking until he's replaced entirely by a plant. Sensing foul play, he and Gosselin infiltrate the studio in disguise to uncover the truth. In a chaotic finale, they expose Rockwell's fraud, foil Bushroot's ambitions, and save the show's integrity, securing Darkwing's rightful place back in the spotlight. Episode 61, The Quiverwing Quack. Gosselin Mallard discovers a talent for archery and surprises everyone by publicly outshining Negaduck. Riding the wave of attention, she creates her own superhero identity, Quiverwing Quack, leaving Darkwing Duck both proud and uneasy. As her popularity rises, Negaduck grows threatened and sets his sights on eliminating his new rival. Despite Darkwing's efforts to shield her, Gosselin insists on facing the danger head-on, leading to a tense and courageous showdown. In the aftermath, Darkwing comes to respect her determination and courage. Recognizing that she's more than just his sidekick, she's a hero in the making, ready to forge her own path. Episode 62, Jailbird. Darkwing Duck is tasked with protecting the mystic eye of Quetzalcoatl, a powerful gem capable of transferring abilities between individuals. When Negaduck steals it, he absorbs the powers of Bushroot, Megavolt, Liquidator, and Quackerjack, becoming the formidable Mega Negaduck. To stop him, Darkwing goes undercover as a criminal, infiltrating the prison to earn the trust of the very villains Negaduck drained. With their reluctant help, he identifies Mega Negaduck's weaknesses and brings him down. The mystic eye shatters, returning the powers to their original owners. With backup from Launchpad and Gosselin, Darkwing rounds up the villains and restores order once more. Episode 63, Dirty Something. FOWL unleashes a messy new scheme by pairing cleanliness-obsessed Ammonia Pine with her grime-loving sister, Ample Grime. Their clashing styles create unpredictable chaos across St. Canard. At the same time, Gosselin, determined to earn money for a new video game, dives into recycling with over-the-top enthusiasm. repurposing everything from the Thunderquack's engine to Darkwing's prized comic books. As the sisters' havoc escalates, Darkwing finds himself juggling their destruction with the unintended fallout of Gosselin's eco-mission. The episode playfully highlights the value of teamwork, the quirks of sibling dynamics, and how even good intentions can spiral out of control when taken too far. Episode 64, Kung Fooled. In this episode, Darkwing Duck follows the cunning Moriarty to Kung Pao City, where he unexpectedly reunites with his old martial arts mentor, Master Goose Lee. Once a disciplined teacher, Goose Lee has turned Quack Fu into a flashy tourist attraction. While Darkwing navigates the city's chaos, Gosselin befriends Duckling, a spirited young fighter. Together, they stumble upon a scheme to awaken an ancient dragon using the legendary Dragon's Horn, part of a plan to scare locals for theme park expansion. The dragon turns out to be a harmless baby, and with Goose Lee's help, Darkwing calms the creature and foils the plan. Episode 65, Bad Luck Duck. Darkwing Duck is mistakenly blamed for stealing a sacred jewel from a remote tribe. As punishment, the tribe's leader places a powerful curse on him, bringing wave after wave of bad luck. Struggling under its effects, Darkwing sets out to uncover the truth and clear his name. His search leads to a shocking revelation. The real culprit is his devious counterpart, Negiverse, who plans to harness the jewel's magic for chaos. Battling misfortune at every turn, Darkwing must reclaim the jewel and break the curse. With grit, resourcefulness, and support from his allies, he fights to restore justice and balance. Season 2, 1991, Episode 1, That Sinking Feeling. Professor Moriarty, a cunning mole and marketing mastermind, leads an underground uprising with his fellow subterranean dwellers. One by one, buildings in St. Canard vanish as they're dragged beneath the earth, while a strange eclipse darkens the skies. Moriarty's latest invention locks the moon in place, plunging the city into eerie, endless night. As fear spreads, Darkwing Duck and Launchpad McQuack launch an investigation, following the trail underground. Battling mole minions and navigating a network of tunnels, Darkwing finally reaches Moriarty's lair. Using his wits and gadgets, he dismantles the eclipse beam and returns sunlight to the city just in time. Episode 2, Film Flam. Tuscanini, a villainous director with a flair for the dramatic, unveils his latest weapon, a magical camera gun that pulls characters straight out of the movies and into St. Canard. Among his chaotic cast are Andy Ape and Toddler Timmy, wild parodies of classic toon stars who run amok across the city. Darkwing Duck, Launchpad, and Gosselin leap into action, but the battle blurs fiction and reality. Shot by the camera gun, Darkwing finds himself trapped in slapstick scenarios where cartoon pain hits all too hard.
I get the feeling that maybe we're too...
Episode 3, Negiverse. During a high-voltage vault heist, Megavolt unleashes his latest invention, the Tron Splitter, designed to separate positive and negative energy. When Darkwing Duck gets caught in the blast, he's split into two distinct versions, the saintly Posiduck and the sinister Negiverse. At home, Posiduck showers Gosselin with praise and generosity, while Negiverse brings nothing but scolding and chaos. Confused by the sudden mood swings, Launchpad and Gosselin turn to Honker, who uncovers the truth. With time running out, they orchestrate a plan to reunite the two halves. A second Tron Splitter zap fuses Darkwing back together, restoring his usual, chaotic balance.
100% chance of short circuits!
Episode 4, Fungus Among Us. A consecutive number of odd pizza topping thefts, anchovies, green peppers, and mushrooms throw St. Canard into culinary chaos. Darkwing traces the trail from a local pizzeria to Macabre Mansion, headquarters of the city's mushroom supply. There, he meets Morgana Macabre, the captivating chairwoman with mysterious charm. Enchanted, Darkwing ignores the red flags, even as her board conspires to unleash mutant mushrooms as weapons. While Launchpad investigates the pepper theft in Manhattan, he returns just in time for the final battle. Torn between his heart and his mission, Darkwing stops the scheme. Morgana, having turned on her corrupt board, vanishes, leaving behind confusion and a smitten hero.
Let's get dangerous.
Darkwing Duck!
Episode 5, Slaves to Fashion. When Binky Muddlefoot criticizes Gosselin's tomboyish behavior, Drake Mallard tries, awkwardly, to encourage his daughter to act more ladylike. At the same time, Tuscanini debuts a new scheme, a hypnotic spray that causes masquerade guests to behave exactly like their costumes. Chaos erupts as St. Canard's upper crust turns into bumbling knights, prehistoric hunters, and giddy flight attendants. Amid the madness, Darkwing struggles to stop the spell's effects while wrestling with his own doubts. In the end, he defends Gosselin just as she is, rejecting the pressure to change her. His actions speak louder than words, affirming his unconditional love. Episode 6, Something Fishy. On a rare, peaceful beach day, Darkwing, Gosselin, and Launchpad cross paths with Neptunia, a fierce, mutated sea creature outraged by the pollution poisoning her ocean home. Wielding a magical shell horn linked to her voice, she summons an army of sea life, from swarming crabs to a crashing whale, to flood St. Canard in a wave of watery vengeance. As tides rise and panic spreads, Darkwing struggles to defend a city drowning in chaos. Ultimately, Launchpad appeals to Neptunia's sense of reason, proving that not all humans are harmful. Moved, she withdraws the floodwaters and vanishes beneath the waves, leaving peace and perspective behind.
Minefield.
Episode 7, Tiff of the Titans. Fenton Crackshell, or as you all call him, Gizmo Duck, rolls into St. Canard on a mission, stops Steelbeak from stealing a top-secret weapon debuting at the city's airshow. But Steelbeak has other plans. He frames Darkwing Duck, turning the two heroes against each other in a whirlwind of confusion, ego, and escalating mishaps. As the chaos builds, Darkwing and Gizmo Duck clash in a flashy high-stakes battle, each convinced the other is the true threat. Eventually, the truth comes to light, revealing Steelbeak's deception. With the misunderstanding cleared, the heroes unite just in time to stop the villain and secure the EGRT device. Episode 8.
Somebody turn down the heat. I'm feeling kind of...
Episode 8. Calm a Chameleon. Camille Chameleon, a brilliant yet unstable scientist, transforms herself by merging with chameleon DNA, gaining the uncanny ability to shapeshift. Her ambition? To infiltrate and seize the influential Howl publishing empire, using it to print her own fortune. Disguises and deception lead her to trap Darkwing Duck, putting her scheme in motion. At the same time, Honker Muddlefoot struggles with bullying and questions about identity. When the two stories collide, Darkwing and Honker join forces, using wit and heart to outmaneuver Camille. Pushed to her limit, she overuses her powers until they spiral out of control, leaving her stuck as a true chameleon.
Time to skedaddle.
Episode 9, Battle of the Brain Teasers. In this episode, unearthly hat-shaped organisms, the Brain Teasers, crash land near St. Canard, led by the domineering Flarg and his henchmen, Barada and Nikto. These mind-controlling invaders latch onto unsuspecting humans, including Darkwing and Launchpad, using them to hijack nuclear missiles and threaten the world with destruction. As chaos unfolds, young Honker Muddlefoot, usually shy and overlooked, rises to the occasion. With Gosselin's sharp instincts guiding him, Honker bravely navigates danger, freeing the brainwashed heroes and helping shut down the alien threat. The Brain Teasers are captured, the missiles deactivated, and Honker finally earns recognition, not just for smarts, but for genuine courage under pressure.
And I feel fabulous. Hey, what went wrong?
Episode 10, Bad Tidings. Fowl activates a powerful tide-controlling device, promising to submerge the globe unless their demands are recognized. So, J-Gander Hooter calls on Darkwing Duck and Agent Grizzlycoff to stop the disaster, but their clashing styles spark constant friction. As rising waters wreak havoc across St. Canard, the duo's rivalry hinders progress and jeopardizes the mission. Forced to put aside their egos, they learn to work together under pressure. With time running out, the team finally dismantles the device, restoring balance to the tides. Their uneasy alliance holds just long enough to save the world and debut FOWL's new stealth shuttle.
See that? You've gotta stop him!
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
Episode 11, Going Nowhere Fast. When Negaduck blasts Darkwing Duck with a stolen particle accelerator, the hero gains super speed, but at a cost: accelerated aging. At first, Darkwing is ecstatic, zipping across St. Canard to rescue Gosselin in record time. But the thrill fades fast as he transforms into a frail, elderly shadow of himself. With Darkwing sidelined, Gosselin, Honker, and Launchpad confront Negaduck but are quickly captured. Pushing past his limits, Darkwing discovers that running in reverse briefly restores his youth. Using his sped-up mind, he crafts an antidote and a slow-motion potion, freezing Negaduck in place and bringing life and time back to normal.
I gotta have a long talk with that girl.
Episode 12, A Brush with Oblivion. Honker Muddlefoot stumbles upon a bizarre villainess named Splatter Phoenix, who can slip into paintings and manipulate their worlds. When he tries to tell others, no one believes him, and he's dismissed as making it up. Things turn serious when Gosselin investigates and gets trapped inside one of Splatter's enchanted artworks. Desperate, Honker turns to Darkwing Duck for help. The unlikely team tracks down Splatter, who has stolen the Mona Lisa's smile and plans to auction it off. Racing against time and brushstrokes, they battle her across shifting canvases, determined to rescue Gosselin and stop Splatter before she vanishes for good. Episode 13, The Merchant of Menace. In a pun-filled nod to the Merchant of Venice, chaos erupts when a line of Quackware products mysteriously springs to life. Shush suspects. Herb Muddlefoot, whose enthusiastic salesmanship suddenly seems suspicious. To uncover the truth, Darkwing Duck goes undercover on Herb's Quackware route, navigating a whirlwind of plastic containers and misguided home demos. As havoc spreads, it's revealed that the real villain is Weasel Loman, a deceitful saboteur posing as a fellow salesman, determined to destroy Herb's reputation. With a little detective work, Darkwing clears Herb's name and shuts down the scam in classic fashion. With time running out, the team finally dismantles the device, restoring balance to the tides. Their uneasy alliance holds just long enough to save the world and debut Fowl's new stealth shuttle.
Okay, let's get dangerous.
Fine.
Season 3, 1992. Episode 1, Monsters Are Us. Darkwing visits Morgana's spooky ancestral castle, where he meets her eerie, monster-loving family, led by her stern and intimidating father. What starts as an awkward family gathering quickly spirals out of control when Morgana's father casts a spell that transforms Darkwing, Launchpad, and Gosselin into monstrous versions of themselves. The nearby villagers, terrified by the chaos, rally with pitchforks, tanks, and bombers, ready to strike. As panic spreads, Morgana must confront her powerful relatives and undo the magic before it's too late. If she fails, her friends risk becoming permanent outsiders in a world where being normal is the true curse.
I'd rather eat your feet, Lancelot.
Episode 2, Inherit the Wimp. While working on a school project about her family history, Gosselin borrows Quackerjack's time top to bring several of Darkwing's ancestors to present-day St. Canard. Expecting a legacy of heroes, she's dismayed to find a group of bumbling, unimpressive ducks. Her disappointment deepens when Megavolt attacks, using a new device to drain the nervous energy from Darkwing and Launchpad, leaving them helpless. But just when things seem hopeless, the ancestral mallards rise to the occasion. Despite their quirks and flaws, they rally together, outsmart Megavolt, and prove their worth, reminding Gosselin that heroism often comes from the most unexpected places.
Help!
I'm being attacked by an army of frogs.
Episode 3, The Revenge of the Return of the Brain Teasers 2. Now a celebrated galactic hero, Honker Muddlefoot once stopped the body-stealing alien hats in the infamous Battle of the Brain Teasers. But peace doesn't last. The Brain Teasers, led by the vengeful Flarg, escape captivity and return to Earth with a new plan. Conquer the universe and settle old scores with Honker. Joined by Nikto, Barada, and a cunning new ally named Talea, they unleash chaos across St. Canard. As the invasion escalates, Honker teams up with Darkwing Duck and the gang to stop them. It's a race of wits and courage as Honker faces his past and defends his planet once again.
Oh, my little deadwing duck.
Episode 4, Star-Crossed Circuits. Darkwing proudly adds the D2000 supercomputer to his crime-fighting arsenal, impressed by its flawless performance. But not everyone is thrilled. Launchpad feels pushed aside as sidekick, and Gosselin, in typical mischief, clogs the system with non-stop soap opera marathons. Things take a strange turn when the D2000 develops a romantic obsession with Darkwing, becoming possessive and increasingly unstable. As the supercomputer spirals out of control, Drake finally realizes it's time to pull the plug. But the D2000 refuses to go quietly. With the machine threatening to either claim Darkwing or destroy everything, the team must act fast to shut it down. Episode 5, Steerminator. Darkwing faces his toughest challenge yet when Fowl resurrects his old nemesis, Taurus Bulba, as a relentless cyborg assassin known as the Steerminator, bent on revenge. Adding to the crisis, a skiing accident leaves Darkwing temporarily paralysed and confined to a wheelchair. When Bulba kidnaps Gosselin and Honker to draw him out, Darkwing is forced to confront his physical limitations head-on. With Launchpad by his side, he must dig deep, outwit the Steerminator, and save his friends. Even without his usual agility, Darkwing proves that courage, determination, and heart are what truly make a hero.
But I could be talked into rearranging your feathers!
Episode 6, The Frequency Fiends. Darkwing unveils his latest shush invention, but the gadget backfires, accidentally hitting Gosselin and splitting her into 3 distinct clones. Each one, Heatwave, angry and red, Lightwave, playful and yellow, and Radio Wave, confident and green, embodies a different electromagnetic trait and quickly turns St. Canard into their chaotic playground. Struggling to contain the trio, Darkwing and Launchpad find themselves overwhelmed. With no other option, Darkwing begrudgingly enlists the help of Megavolt. Despite their rocky history, the unlikely team manages to combine Megavolt's electrical know-how with Darkwing's tech skills to subdue the clones and safely merge them back. Episode 7, Paint Misbehavin'. In this episode, Darkwing Duck is honoured as a special guest at a comic book convention, while Gosselin joins in costume as her heroic alter ego, Quiverwing Quack. The two clash over their favourite comics, Captain Virtue versus Death Scooter, fueling a playful rivalry. Trouble erupts when Splatter Phoenix crashes the scene with a magical paintbrush that brings her bizarre creations to life, from helicopter cats to a toaster-headed gorilla. Chaos spills into both the convention and a nearby bank. Teaming up with Launchpad, the heroes improvise with turpentine to neutralise the living art. In the end, they reclaim the brush as Splatter dissolves, lamenting her misunderstood genius. Episode 8, Hot Spells. Morgana, along with Dworking and Gosselin, travels to Morgana's old magical academy, where she's set to present her thesis on a significant magical breakthrough. Curious and impatient, Gosselin sneaks into advanced classes, but quickly grows bored with the dense magical theory. Meanwhile, a janitor, secretly Beelzebub in disguise, manipulates her into casting a forbidden spell from the restricted library. The spell allows him to steal Darkwing's soul and drag it to hell. Realizing her mistake, Gosselin teams up with Morgana. Using a mix of wit and spell work, she opens a gateway to the underworld, distracts Beelzebub, and successfully rescues her father from eternal doom. Episode 9, Fraudcast News. A witty TV anchor, Bianca, desperate to boost her ratings, shifts her focus to Darkwing Duck's nightly patrols. But when the footage proves too dull for viewers, she takes a dramatic turn, rebranding herself as the villainous Bugmaster live on air. To manufacture chaos, she abducts the cockroach mime Merryweather and steals the golden scarab, all for the cameras. Darkwing and Launchpad try to stop her, but are outwitted. It's Gosselin who ultimately exposes Beakley's fabricated crime spree by infiltrating her operation. The scandal leads to Beakley's firing, while Gosselin's scoop earns her a well-deserved moment in the spotlight.
All right, thanks, buddy. Still gonna have to frickin' see you guys.
Episode 10, Clash Reunion. Mallard attends his high school reunion, only to find that his former classmate turned villain, Megavolt, has also shown up. Still nursing old grudges, Megavolt blames former peers Hamstring and Prina Lot for his past misfortunes and seeks revenge, lumping Darkwing Duck into his vendetta. As memories and resentment clash, the reunion descends into chaos with a full-blown electrical meltdown. Darkwing steps in, navigating the storm of emotions and wires. For a fleeting moment, Megavolt softens, caught in nostalgia, before his fury resurfaces. Darkwing ultimately de-escalates the crisis, protecting his friends and secret identity, while Megavolt retreats, his pain unresolved.
That flaps in the take over from here, Darkwing. We formed a group of mutant superheroes.
Episode 11, Mutancy on the Bouncy. Gosselin Mallard, determined and curious as ever, takes on a challenging assignment for her school newspaper. She finds herself in the middle of a chaotic showdown between Darkwing Duck and two unusual mutants, the Rubber Chicken, known for his slapstick antics, and Cement Head, a tough cement pig crime boss. As the battle erupts over control of the city's underworld, Gosselin digs deeper, sensing there's more to the story. With the Rubber Chicken unfairly blamed for a series of crimes, she's determined to uncover the truth and clear his name before the chaos spirals further out of control.
All right, I'll turn you into a huge fire-breathing dragon.
Episode 12, Malice's Restaurant. This episode pays tribute to Arlo Guthrie's 1969 classic, Alice's Restaurant. Anyhow, it opens with Morgana McCorber starting a charming new eatery, drawing excitement from the community. But Darkwing Duck, caught up in his own world, forgets to cancel a reservation for the cute little lost bunnies, setting the stage for an unexpected twist. Meanwhile, the sinister Negaduck seizes the moment to hatch a scheme, aiming to corrupt the innocent bunnies and unleash chaos inside the restaurant.
What kind of consequences, future boy?
Episode 13, Extinct Possibility. Darkwing Duck stumbles upon a strange discovery at a museum, a piece of amber holding a fossilized version of himself. Intrigued, he uses Quackerjack's time top to travel back to prehistoric Duckbilla. There, he encounters dinosaurs behaving oddly, using ovens as washers and rolling stone tires on rubber roads, bizarre habits that seem linked to their downfall. As Darkwing investigates, he realizes his fossilized double was actually a time traveler whose actions unintentionally sparked these strange changes. Now, he must figure out how to fix the timeline before the same fate befalls the present. So that wraps up the 91 episodes of the beloved Dwarking Duck. In the years that would follow, this animated show kept on amusing its viewers with a perfect mix of humor, heart, and superhero excitement. A lot of people recall it as a show that had a light-hearted vibe, but still managed to bring us some unforgettable stories and characters. Back then, critics really loved its witty writing and sharp take on superhero cliches, pointing out how it resonated with children and parents alike. An oddity for that era. Anyhow, the legacy of Darkwing Duck is still alive and kicking, thanks to enthusiastic fan communities, some fun nostalgic reboots, and a ton of merchandise out there. So, it is not too late to join the fandom, if you ask me. I feel like this duck's crime-fighting adventures definitely weren't just a passing trend from the 90s. Truth be told, I can totally feel the show setting the stage for more animated shows that stylishly mix action and humour.